Ooh.
So, it's Chillin with the Meister, and I just want to put together a quick Veterans Day tribute in acknowledgement to all the Casino Meister members who are vets, and a general acknowledgement to all vets worldwide, friend or foe. Being an ex-Army guy myself, I've always taken time out on the 11th of November to think about my Army buddies and to drink a toast to those times gone by. Yep, those are some interesting times, that's for sure. Interesting times for me. The Reagan years, the Reagan years of Sandinista Contra were tense years as a paratrooper. Central America was a hotbed of violence in the 1980s, and while I was at Fort Bragg back then, there was a lot of shit going down. And then here in Deutschland, I was here when the wall came down 20 years ago this month.
You gotta be shitting me.
This was a really strange time, I was a squad leader in a combat engineer unit. Our mission was to support the infantry by setting up minefields on the West German border to fend off the invading East German horde and Soviet tanks and stuff. One moment we're enemies, the next everyone's full of peace and love. So, talk about being confusing to an American GI. But hell, we thought, now is the European vacation, paid for by Uncle Sam. No more mission, what are we going to do now? No minefields to set up. What are you going to do but chase girlies and drink beer? Yahoo! Yeah, well, that lasted a few months until Saddam Hussein decided to invade Kuwait back in August of that year. And we thought, whoa, this is effed up. What now? Well, the U.S. responded by sending in a bunch of paratroopers to fend off these tank forces or to act as a deterrent. But as most people know, the paratroopers are nothing but speed bumps for tanks in an open desert field. So the U.S. was planning to bring tank forces there. Well, the folks in the Schaffenburg, where I was stationed at, reported in the paper that, they're bringing all the tank forces out of Europe down to Kuwait. And I was thinking, no way, that ain't going to happen. I told all my friends and everybody down there, ain't going to happen. Right? The only way they'd move all the tank forces out would be like World War III, because you still had the Soviets here. You had to keep somebody here in Germany to fend off any kind of force that might come through here. And so I figured, it ain't going to happen. About a week later, we were notified, we're going. Right? So we ended up going down there. Simply stated, it sucked. The whole time down there sucked. Civilians haven't a clue on what it was like living in dirt for 6 months, showering from water cans, sucking in dust 24/7, no women, not even to talk to or even to look at. Right? I was in a combat unit. There's no women there. No beer, right? And for U.S. forces coming from beer land, this was plain inhuman.
Well, boo fucking who?
What pissed me off, though, was that the Brits,
Hello, Governor.
Who were camped a few miles from us, had booze, right? At least they could get, booze, and they could swap booze for batteries and other needed material. Yeah, it sucked. And all those who watched CNN saw these bored GIs having pseudo beach parties and playing volleyball in the sand. Believe me, where I was, there was no volleyball, no recreational activities prior to the ground offensive. All we did was train and train and train and rehearse on how we were to breach the minefields and the fiery wall of death from the Iraqis. So, prior to the ground offensive, we thought, we're dead men, on a suicide mission. It was totally effed up. Then came the air war. Well, we watched the bombings for weeks. At night during guard duty, whatever, we'd watch as the horizon would be lighting up with all the rocket attacks, thinking, well, better him than me, because we knew that the ground war was imminent. It was bound to happen, you know, sometime like maybe within a few days or whatever. So we were pretty much hoping they just bombed the hell out of these guys, and it's kind of messed up to think about, but you know, that's just the way it was, you know. And when the ground offensive began, my track vehicle, along with the others from Delta Company 9th Engineer Battalion, we were the first armored vehicles across the desert, across the border, I should say, across a lot of desert. First vehicles across the border, along with the scouts during the ground offensive. Here's the U. Yep, the scouts who led the tank forces through the desert, catching up with the Republican Guard. Yeah, so what a trippy time. You know, what a trippy time, and I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything. You know, no siree, Bob. These are the things that make you, right? And those who experience the same, you know, we're connected. Yeah, you're connected. So this is why I feel obligated to raise a toast to my brothers. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. Moving on. I'll be in Vegas for next week for the G2E, the Global Gaming Expo. This is the first time in 3 years, so I'm really looking forward to this. It'll be especially interesting on how the face of the G2E has changed since so many from the online casino industry have bailed out of the U.S. market. It'll also be interesting to see what the vibe is on the pending U.S. acceptance on online gaming. I have a good feeling that a number of companies are really prepping for, you know, prepping themselves for this. And a quick announcement, right? There have been quite a few online casino warnings posted in the last few weeks. You need to keep yourself updated with these. Check out the Rogue section. All right, stay alert, stay alive.
For sure.
So anyway, that's it for this week. If I don't see you in Vegas, I'll catch up with you when I get back. So till then, be cool. Adios.